All right, hello and welcome. My name is Dr. Nate Pritz, and I am professor and lead faculty in the Academic Engagement Center here at the University of Arizona Global Campus. I will be the host for this session, Michelle Warren's peer-to-peer support within the cognitive apprenticeship model. By joining us today, you acknowledge that this session is being recorded and will be shared with TLC-related materials. Microphones will be muted for this presentation, but we encourage you to post questions and comments in the chat. We have enabled live transcription, so if you'd like to use that, click the live transcription button at the bottom of your Zoom window. And now I'm really happy to introduce you to Michelle Warren. Michelle serves as doctoral faculty at the University of Arizona Global Campus. Before that, she directed the Center for Distance Learning at San Diego State. Having put some of the first degrees online in the nation, Michelle has recently focused on challenges around providing students with authentic, real-world learning experiences in the online classroom, and also with building peer learning communities to increase interaction and collaboration between students. Michelle continues to research models, ideas, and strategies for re-envisioning online education in this country and in developing nations in Asia. Michelle, very excited to hear from you today, peer-to-peer support within the cognitive apprenticeship model.
Thanks, Nate. I wouldn't have written so much in my bio if I had known you were going to read the whole thing. Thank you so much. It's lovely to be here. I really appreciate it. And I'm excited to share one of my favorite theories with you. First of all, I'm Michelle Warren. I'm in the education PhD program. I work with Dr. Kelly Olson-Stewart, who is an amazing faculty lead, and I am core faculty in the program. So the cognitive apprenticeship model is a powerful model developed by Collins, Brown, and Newman back in the late 80s. And if you think about the apprenticeship, what is it? It's one of the oldest and most natural methods of teaching very, very complex skills. Thinking about apprenticeship, it's in the real world, it's authentic, it takes place in the world with real world projects. You have a novice and a master craftsperson relationship, and the learning begins with the expert actually modeling and demonstrating that skill. Before the novice really even touches anything, the master craftsman demonstrates the skill for that apprentice. The skills are complex, situated in real world environment, and throughout this process, you know, if you think about yourself taking lessons like tennis lessons or something, you're constantly self-monitoring and thinking about what you're doing and adjusting and changing. And so there's this whole metacognitive side of the apprenticeship model. Not only that, but it's situated in a culture of practice with other individuals at varying skill levels. If you think about the old guilds, where there were several people in the guild learning how to be a chef or how to work leather or how to be a blacksmith, several people in the environment at different stages of knowledge and teaching each other and sharing strategies and tips and helping the novices, overseeing the novices. And so this whole environment, this community is so important in the cognitive apprenticeship theory and in learning. So Collins et al. Suggests there are 6 phases of cognitive apprenticeship. And so as you think about you taking tennis lessons again, or any kind of learning of a complex skill, it begins with the modeling. The expert models and demonstrates the task while the student observes. And then the student starts to take it on and try it and practice. And the coaching starts to come into play. And the master facilitates while the student practices the task, and the master maybe will step in and assist and guide and then stand back again. So there's intense coaching, still very one-on-one. Then the master is able to step back, and there's a scaffolding that takes place. And the master or the expert will provide supports and guidances and help a little here, maybe a tip there. So the scaffolding starts to happen. In the articulation phase, that's where the student is doing the task pretty much, for the most part, accomplishing it and developing artifacts and work. So the student is then starting to demonstrate their knowledge, verbalize their knowledge and thought process, and showing the expert how they're going about accomplishing these tasks. Then at that point, the student kind of is ready to sit back and reflect. So, and then this is an opportunity to bring what is going on in the subconscious mind into the conscious and think about it. And what have I accomplished? How did I get there? What were the strategies I used? What could I do better? And so, and not only that, this is an opportunity for them to compare themselves to others' work, the work of others, and see, well, how did I do? Well, I could do it their way next time, or do something differently next time. At the exploration phase, they've got the task pretty much under control, under their belts. They're becoming journeymen or journey people. And now they're broadening their skills. They're taking their skills and knowledge and crossing domains. They're expanding, they're going deeper and broader and applying it in more new ways and getting creative about how they apply these skills. In an online environment, it's very difficult to use the apprenticeship model, but it can be done, and there are technologies and tricks for doing it. So as we look at the modeling phase, we can use videos to demonstrate, we can use screen capture to demonstrate the skill, the complex skills, and how we put it all together. Case studies are great ways to support the modeling experience. So they're immersed in that environment and they're seeing it in action by the people in the case studies. Worked examples are great opportunities for modeling. Virtual reality, live webinar demos, and then detailed tutorials. Now at the coaching phase, we've got feedback. So one of the things that I like to do with students in their work is at the coaching phase, I'll actually have their work on my screen as a screen capture, and I'll talk through it as I'm reading it and I'm thinking it through, and I'm going, well, this is awkward here. You could have said more here, and I'll actually do a screen capture of video feedback of their work as I talk through it. Web conferencing one-on-one or with a group. You can certainly conference with a group and do coaching. A lot of feedback on assignments at this phase is really important. We've got the Writing Center and library coaching, and I just discovered how great the library coaching is. My students are using it all the time, and the track changes in MS Word, of course. At the scaffolding level, we've got FAQs, instructor guides. So now you're starting to scaffold the week. Here's what you want to look out for in the week. Here's what you want to pay attention to in the week, the announcements, and so forth. At the articulation phase, they can do think aloud. So as they're going through their work, they can video themselves thinking aloud as they're using their strategies to accomplish the task. Discussion boards are opportunities for sharing their strategies and how they did it, how they accomplished the tasks. Also at the articulation phase, now they're demonstrating their work and they're demonstrating to each other. Presentations are ways of demonstrating their work and what they've accomplished. Projects, they've got the projects that they're sharing, and also students co-teaching, teaching each other, and I'll talk a little more about that. At the reflection phase, we've got the journal opportunities, we've got the electronic portfolios where they can say, I did this and I actually accomplished this, and think about how it went and give themselves a pat on the back. Students compare work to each other, the peer evaluation aspect of it. And then on the exploration phase, we've got in our program, the doctoral research, the dissertation, community work is an exploration phase, and internships. So in today's research, it seems to, and Instructional Solutions, they focus on the instructor and the novice, but they don't really get into the community aspect. I'm not seeing a lot of research on the community aspect. So how do we bring those learners in, especially in the online environment? How do we get them connected? How do we get that sharing of knowledge and resources and ideas and understandings at all those various levels? So some of the ways that we've accomplished this or are playing with are, well, I'll just jump to the CHAMPS. The CHAMPS is a great example of the peer mentoring model. And we have students in our program who are working with other students one-on-one. The CHAMPS has been, that model has been honed and crafted for many years, and it's a formalized process, and it's incredibly successful. It's a one-on-one model. Collaborative projects are other ways that students can work together, get to know each other, and build relationships alongside doing the work. And so they get to know each other alongside the actual task itself. Oh, and then in the residencies, and I'll talk about the seminar last. In the residencies, we like to connect our students with each other, especially if they have similar dissertation topics. So we will have them share phone numbers, we'll have them share their research and strategies for their research and kind of what they've acknowledged and understood about their research. And so that's really exciting in the residencies. I want to talk about the seminar class just really quick. We have developed a seminar class in our program where students share their dissertation topics with each other, and they take their topic throughout the entire class. They work on their topic every week, and they work on it around themes. So we've got one theme which is about policy and leadership. We have another theme which is about technology, another teaching and learning, and another about demographics and sociocultural aspects of their topic. And so they'll delve in and learn about their topic with the framework of the theme, and then bring it to the classroom. And so not only are they teaching other students about their topic, but they're also teaching them about how did I approach my topic through the theme of the week. And they're showing the other students, okay, here's how they approach that theme for their topic. I'm getting some ideas about how I can approach it for my topic. And the seminar class is a really powerful model, and maybe something that you might want to play around with on your own when you start to design your own classes. We discovered lots of behind the scenes interactions with students. They are providing critiques and guidance to each other. They're coaching each other behind the scenes. They're sharing experiences of the classroom and the instructor with each other, and they're encouraging each other, which is most important. So but it's all going on behind the scenes. We don't see it. How can we bring that to the forefront? So, oops, that went backwards. Why did you do that? Come back. Okay, there we go. So we have decided, and we're about to launch into this full-fledged effort to develop our Ed PhD Student Club. And we want it to be a place of camaraderie and relationship building, which these clubs are so successful at. Places to celebrate accomplishment, but also a place of support and resilience, and a place for skill building. So how are we going to kind of work on the skill building aspect of it? Well, we want to create separate discussion communities within that student club, focused around certain topics like research, like academic writing, like the dissertation process, the doctoral journey. How am I managing? I just feel like I'm just failing every which way. How can my fellow students support me and help me develop my resilience in this doctoral journey? So there are, I was told that there are spaces in the club where we can have separate little communities and separate discussions focused around certain topics. So also peer-to-peer interaction. So how do we get peers working with peers and sharing tips with peers and knowledge with peers and experiences with peers? Well, one way is today, later, the CAS faculty are presenting our doctoral students who are talking about their doctoral journey. And they're talking about it through the lens of the multipliers, the Liz Wiseman book. And some of the journeys are emotional and interesting and powerful. And how powerful is that going to be to share this with our doctoral students so they can see? And these students are at various levels. One, it has been graduated for quite a while. Another just graduated a month ago. The others are kind of in various stages of the journey. and for our students to see what some of their peers have gone through and are going through, and how they managed and how they resolved some of these issues and how they're getting through it, is going to be very powerful to share with our students. So again, seeing their peers, all right, I've got a kitten, I'm sorry, seeing their peers going through the journey together. Now, this is another idea that I'm really excited about, the peer tutorial. And I'm going to be creating a series of these with our students, and it's going to be students teaching about a specific topic. So in this example, the data analysis, analyzing data manually, and I'm going to play just a little bit of it for you. So you can get a feel. I've edited it. It's about 2 minutes long. So you can get a feel for what I mean by the process here. So let me just play this. And again, it's 2 minutes. Dr. Michelle Warren, and I have soon-to-be Dr. Nicholas De La Cruz with me, who's going to tell us about his experience in manual coding his data for his dissertation. So again, the topic of today's tutorial or discussion is how Nick manually coded his qualitative data using the thematic analysis process. So the 6-phase thematic analysis process was developed by Braun and Clark. And so
my dissertation topic was the use of music to support performance in girls lacrosse players. During the beginning of the process, basically the raw data, I used Zoom to record my interviews. I had about 8 participants. So phase 1, familiarizing yourself with your data, and phase 2, generating initial codes. This 2 processes were basically rewatching the videos. I at least watched each interview at least once, and then I would read the transcripts. I would reread them over and over, about 10 times at least. There's somewhere right here you have an example of how I use PowerPoint to kind of start mapping out what I was going to use for my dissertation.
So well done on that, Nick. Just super impressive and super exciting to see your data. And so thank you, Nick, and thank you, audience, for listening to this presentation, and we hope that this was helpful. Thank you. Okay, so as you can see, the tutorial is complex and rich and teaching some very, very complex skills, and students got this. And why not take advantage of their expertise to teach their peers, and also to demonstrate to their peers that, yes, you can do this as well. You can do it. You got this. You can do it. So really excited about the peer tutorial process. Next, I want to do tutorials on using NVivo to analyze data. I have one student who's an amazing writer. She's just like, she just knocks those things out like crazy. And we're going to develop a writing strategies tutorial. I'd like to do one on approaching the literature review. I'd like to do one on what it's like to mentor in the CHAMPS program. And I think that would be a great way to get more students involved in the CHAMPS program. And then asking students what else do they want to learn from each other, or what expertise do they have to share with each other. So that is my presentation, and I'm a little bit early, a minute early, but open for questions, and I appreciate you. I'm very sorry about my kitten running around in the background like a maniac, and I look forward to hearing from you if you have anything you'd like to ask.
Michelle, you are always an inspiration. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thanks, Jen. Appreciate it. So Jen, what would you like to see in the tutorials, the peer tutorials?
full disclosure, my neighbor was texting me that she has COVID and needed help getting medicine. So I missed some of what you were saying, but you're still quite an inspiration to all of us.
Thank you, Jen. Appreciate it. Sorry about your neighbor.
Hey, Michelle, can I ask you a quick question here? You talked a little bit about those conversations that go on behind the scenes with students where they're supporting each other. And you asked the question, how can we bring those to the forefront? And one of your answers clearly is the student group that you're working on. But as you thought about this, were there any other ideas you sort of thought about, maybe different ways we could do that actually in the classroom with different assignments or the structure of different activities?
Yeah, so again, the group projects are ways to do it, and students hate group projects, and we hated them in our live school, in our live classroom as well. But they're great ways to connect students with each other, and they do need a lot of structure, but they are awesome. Another way is to offer office hours where students come to the office hours and get to know each other and converse, and also the instructor can do a demonstration. So that's another great way to do it. And if anybody else has any ways of connecting students to each other, I think one thing is, I always in my announcements, I encourage them to connect with each other and share with each other. And if I see similar topics of interest, I'll say, you two have to get together. You two get to share each other's phone numbers and so forth. So those are other ways that we can try to encourage that.
Michelle, I love seeing that you're having other students kind of be the mentor rather than it always being you or the instructor.
Yeah.
I think in scaffolding, it's talked about a more capable other. So it doesn't necessarily have to be, the instructor. And I'm just wondering if you have found it to be more powerful coming from one student to another student versus it coming from you. Do they sometimes give us that Peanuts voice, the teacher voice, and want, and I feel like they don't do that to each other as much.
I love that. Well, in the seminar class, they definitely appreciated learning from each other, where they were sharing their topic of interest through the lens of the theme. That was really powerful. And actually, if I may, there's something that I wanted to share that I didn't. And that is, I just had one more point I wanted to make, which was that in the cognitive apprenticeship approach, the modeling and the coaching are left out a lot in our by faculty. They are assuming students are coming in at the scaffolding phase and that they should know this. And they don't. They're novices, they're new. And so, don't assume that they have this figured out. It's important for us to provide those video demos and those tutorials and that coaching, that deep, rich, thick coaching on their work so that they can get to that scaffolding phase. And so that's one reason I love this apprenticeship model, is that the modeling and coaching are explicit and they're important for our students, and especially some of our students coming into at the beginning of their programs. And so that was kind of a soapbox that I forgot to mention there, that I wanted to bring to the table.
Michelle, I'll just share really quickly that I was teaching a class where I was doing video feedback with students. I was asking them to kind of interpret what my feedback to them was and speak it back to me in video form. And I was struck by how many times they were misinterpreting my feedback and getting really disheartened by comments that I didn't mean in that way at all. So it was a huge moment for me to realize how things were coming across, how I could do a better job. And then I could immediately email or contact that student and try to ameliorate those misconceptions. So that, I mean, it's like you say, it's one of those things that is maybe a little harder to do, maybe not so natural for some instructors, some faculty to embrace, but especially in early classes, I think it's really crucial to help students sort of build up that confidence and that filter for processing this stuff. And that's a really great tool. I'm glad you talked about it.
Michelle, can you put that continuum back up? that you had of the different scenario, the different tasks. I did take a picture of that. That was before the neighbor texted me.
And I this one, and I will be sending. I'd like to share this, Allison, with everybody, if that's okay. I'd like to share this presentation.
I think this is incredible for course revision. We can put it right beside Bloom's taxonomy and really think about what actions we're looking for, what part of apprenticeship we're looking for, and then think about if the activities we're creating in our course revisions really match what we want students to do. I really loved this.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I had fun putting it together. Okay, stop share. My kitten is going nuts. I'm sorry. What?
Well, in the interest of letting Michelle throw a toy at her cat, let's sort of wrap this up here. Thank you so much, Michelle, and thank you to all of you for your participation here today, for coming to the session. We really appreciate your time and your attention here, and we hope you'll stick around. Alexa Dunn from our previous session and Michelle Warren are going to stick around. We're going to have a session starting in just a few minutes that will be a panel discussion to talk a little bit more about some of these issues and to really kind of drill in on how we can create different pathways for success for our students. So if you want to pop out and make some tea, if you want to play with your kitten or let your dog out of her crate, we could take a quick little break here. We'll get you back here in just a few minutes to start off with this panel discussion. So again, thank you so much for attending today.